5:14 local time. Plesetsk Cosmodrome, northwestern Russia. The launch facility sits 800 kilometers north of Moscow in a pine forest, so dense it disappears from satellite optical imaging under cloud cover. This morning the sky is clear. The technicians who have been on station since 0200 have completed their pre-launch sequence without incident. The countdown does not feel dramatic from inside the control room. It rarely does. These are professionals executing a procedure they have rehearsed hundreds of times. At 5:17, the Yars intercontinental ballistic missile leaves its Krona shelter silo. The RS-24 Yars carries multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles. Its range exceeds 11,000 kilometers. From Plesetsk, it can reach any capital in NATO's European theater in under 12 minutes. It can reach the continental United States in approximately 25. This morning, it is headed northeast. Its designated impact zone is the Kara test range on the Kamchatka Peninsula, 6,000 kilometers away. The trajectory is known. The destination is safe. The weapon is inert. None of that changes what the launch means. Because this is not one missile. This is one missile on day 3 of the largest nuclear exercise Russia has conducted in years, a 3-day mobilization that began without public announcement on May 19, 2026, and that by the time it concludes will have involved 64,000 military personnel, more than 200 missile launchers, 140 aircraft, 73 surface vessels, and 13 submarines. 8 of those submarines are strategic nuclear boats. Their payloads are not inert. The exercise is called a readiness check, a routine validation of nuclear deterrent forces. Russia conducts them every 1 to 2 years. What is not routine is the timing. What is not routine is the geography. And what is not routine is Belarus. At 5:31 on day 2 of the exercise, 1,400 kilometers to the southwest, Belarusian crews operating Iskander ballistic missile systems conduct a parallel drill of their own. The Belarusian Defense Ministry describes it in careful language. Units carry out measures to prepare for the receipt of special munitions and their mating with missiles. Special munitions. That phrase has a specific meaning in Russian military doctrine. It does not mean conventional warheads. Russia has stationed its Orshnik intermediate-range ballistic missile in Belarus since 2025. The Orshnik can carry either conventional or nuclear payloads. Its range from Belarusian launch positions covers all of Western Europe. Warsaw, Berlin, Paris, London, all of it inside the flight envelope. The Belarusian exercise is technically separate from Russia's 3-day drill. The Russian Ministry of Defense says so clearly, but they are running simultaneously. Their command structures are coordinated. Their messaging is unified. And the chief of the Russian General Staff, before the strategic portion of the exercise begins, delivers a statement that analysts in Washington, Brussels, and Kiev will spend the next 48 hours parsing. In the first phase, he says from May 19th to 20th, a snap exercise of nuclear forces was conducted. Troops and forces were brought to full readiness. Snap exercise. Not scheduled. Not announced. Snap. That word appears in the statement for a reason. Inside the Combat Information Center of NATO's Allied Command Operations in Mons, Belgium, the watch team that has been monitoring Russian strategic force activity since May 18th now has a complete picture. The exercise is not a surprise. Indicators had been building for 72 hours. Unusual traffic patterns at Plesetsk. Submarine departure schedules from Severomorsk that did not match the published maintenance cycle. 2 95 bomber crews recalled from leave at Ukrainka Air Base. The intelligence community calls these signatures. Every signature was read correctly. Every signature was reported up the chain. What it does not change is what Russia is doing. At 9:44 on May 21st, the aviation component activates. 2 95 MS Bear bombers take off from the Ukrainka base in eastern Russia. Each aircraft carries a KH-101 air-launched cruise missile. The weapons are nuclear capable. The range of the KH-101 from launch altitude covers targets across all of Europe and well into the Atlantic. The bombers do not cross any international boundary. They proceed to their designated launch corridors, execute the release sequence, and return to base. Simultaneously from the Barents Sea, a Project 667 BDRM Delta for submarine surfaces to communication depth and transmits its launch authorization sequence. The Sineva SLBM, a submarine-launched ballistic missile with a range of 8,300 kilometers, executes a test firing. Its trajectory arcs over the North Pole and descends toward the Kara test range, arriving within 4 minutes of the Yars re-entry vehicles launched from Plesetsk. 2 warheads, 2 platforms, 2 completely different launch geometries, same target zone, same moment. That simultaneity is the point. Modern nuclear strategy is built on a concept called survivability. No single defensive system can intercept missiles arriving from multiple directions at the same time. The Yars comes from the south. The Sineva comes from the north. The cruise missiles, if they were armed and real, would come from multiple lateral headings simultaneously. A defender facing all 3 must make 3 separate interception decisions with overlapping timelines. Russia is not demonstrating that it has nuclear weapons. The world already knows Russia has nuclear weapons. Russia is demonstrating that it can deliver them from every direction at once, that its command and control chain functions under exercise conditions, and that Belarusian territory is now formally integrated into the launch architecture. That last point receives less attention in Western reporting than it deserves. Belarus shares a border with Poland, Lithuania, and Latvia, 3 NATO members. An Iskander or Orshnik launched from a position in western Belarus reaches Warsaw in approximately 3 minutes and 40 seconds. It reaches Vilnius in under 3. No missile defense system currently deployed in the region has intercept timelines that short. The exercise continues. At 14:20 on May 21st, a MiG-31 interceptor takes off from a Russian air base carrying a Kinzhal hypersonic missile under its centerline pylon. The Kinzhal travels at Mach 10. It follows a quasi-ballistic trajectory that makes it exceptionally difficult to intercept with current NATO air defense systems. Its range from MiG-31 launch altitude is approximately 2,000 kilometers. Its warhead can be conventional or nuclear. The MiG-31 does not cross any boundary. The Kinzhal is not released today against a real target. The aircraft completes its exercise profile and returns to base. On the tactical display inside Allied Command Operations, the signature of the MiG-31's flight profile is logged, time-stamped, analyzed. The Kinzhal's radar cross-section, its thermal bloom, its trajectory characteristics are all captured. Every data point goes into the database that NATO's missile defense architecture uses to build interception algorithms. This is the other side of the exercise that is rarely discussed. Russia learns about NATO. NATO learns about Russia. Every missile test, every radar sweep, every electronic emission from a nuclear-capable platform is simultaneously a weapons demonstration and an intelligence gift to the other side. The exercise concludes on schedule on the evening of May 21st. The official Russian statement is brief. All exercise objectives achieved. Nuclear deterrent forces confirmed ready. Units returning to permanent deployment areas. No specific message to NATO. No direct reference to Ukraine. No named adversary. None is needed. The context provides all the language required. Russia's nuclear exercise began 3 days after Ukraine's drone units reported striking 19,203 Russian personnel in 19 days. It began 1 week after a successful test launch of the Sarmat ICBM. It began as U.S.-Iran ceasefire talks threatened to consume American strategic attention, and it explicitly incorporated Belarus, bringing forward-deployed nuclear capability to within minutes of NATO's eastern frontier for the first time in this configuration. In arms control terms, this exercise does not violate any existing agreement. Russia is permitted to conduct nuclear readiness drills. The weapons tested are within treaty parameters. The launch corridors are inside Russian and designated test range airspace. In strategic terms, analysts who have watched Russian nuclear signaling for 20 years are more cautious. One analyst, writing in the immediate aftermath of the exercise, notes that the parallel with February 2022 looks ominous, that nuclear exercises of this specific composition, combining Yars, Sirkin, Sineva, Kinzhal, and Belarusian launch preparation, have historically preceded significant Russian military action. The previous time Russia assembled this exact combination of systems in a single exercise was February 19, 2022. 5 days later, Russian forces entered Ukraine. Nobody in the watch centers across NATO is sleeping well this week. The Yars's re-entry vehicles land cleanly on the Kara test range at 6:04. The acoustic sensors confirm impact. The test is logged as successful. The silo at Plesetsk will be reloaded within 72 hours. Inside the operations facility, a duty officer closes the exercise log. He enters the time. He enters the result. He does not enter what happens next, because nobody knows yet. 64,000 troops, 200 missile launchers, 8 nuclear submarines. Every leg of the nuclear triad fired in a single 3-day window. Russia did not do this to test its missiles. The missiles work. Russia has always known the missiles work. Russia did this to make sure everyone else knows too. The Yars landed at Kara. The Sineva hit its mark. The Kinzhal flew its profile. The Belarusian crews prepared their munitions. And then the exercise ended. Units returned to base. Submarines returned to depth. The bombers landed. Everything went back to where it was before, except the message. The message didn't go anywhere. It's still out there, in every NATO operations center, in every intelligence summary sent up every chain of command between Moscow and Washington, in every calculation about how far this war can go before the ladder runs out of rungs. Russia just reminded the world how many rungs are left.